When you think about the Lakers, you think about a team that has a roster full of superstars. You think about LeBron James. You think about Anthony Davis. You think about Russell Westbrook. And when you think about all them players, you think they should be winning a lot more than what they have been. But they haven't. But I'm going to give you the real reason why they haven't been successful or they haven't been winning. Let's go ahead and talk about it. In looking at the Lakers this season, you just wonder why they haven't excelled. You wonder why they have underachieved the way they have. You wonder why they have not been the team that a lot of people thought. I mean, coming into this season, a lot of analysts already put them in the NBA Finals with the Brooklyn Nets. Both teams look a little bit above average at best. Well, actually, the Lakers don't even look above average. They look less than average at times. Losing the teams they aren't supposed to, losing leads, massive turnovers in games, crucial turnovers in games at the wrong time, and just not, utilizing their clientele the way they should. When you think about this team, they should be a much better team in so many ways. I mean, you got Anthony Davis, you got Russell Westbrook, you got LeBron James, you got Carmelo Anthony, you got Rajon Rondo, you got Trevor Ariza coming off the bench, Kendrick Nunn, Malik Monk, THT, Dwight Howard. I can go on and on. But my point is, when you look at this in its entirety, it's just not working so far because you don't see the chemistry, of a team that's been assembled and put together that has the intangibles to win. And right now they just don't. They'll win a game or two here and there, and then they'll fall back into their losing ways. It just doesn't seem like it's any consistency or enough consistency to see them actually, get over the hump. And if they're not going to be able to do that, then, it's going to be a bust season for them. Because like I said, when you think about the Lakers, it's championship or bust. It's nothing else. But the main thing I want to talk about with the Lakers specifically, when you think about this team, the real reason why I think the Lakers are struggling really is because LeBron James is the focal point of the team. That's the reason why they're struggling. And what I mean by that is, before you think anything, Anthony Davis should be the number one guy. Anthony Davis should be their forefront. Anthony Davis should play like a top 5 player in the NBA when he's healthy, with or without LeBron James on the floor. And a lot of times when you look at Anthony Davis over these last couple seasons, he just doesn't play like a top 5 player all the time. He doesn't play with that same intensity all the time. And I think the biggest difference between him and a player like Giannis and a couple other big men out there in the league, he doesn't have the dog in him to do so. Anthony Davis has the talent, but he doesn't have the killer mentality. We talk about players all the time and how good they are and how much talent they have, but the ones who win championships are the ones who has killer mentality. I mean, Mamba mentality, whatever you want to call it. All the great players who had killer mentality win championships in any sport you could think of. I mean, when you think of football, Tom Brady, killer mentality, killer edge about him, wants to win. Psycho Tom, greatest quarterback of all time. Michael Jordan, greatest basketball player of all time. Killer mentality. Kobe Bryant, killer mentality. This is what I'm talking about. When you have that type of dog in you, it helps you be a winner. And I'm not saying you can't win without it, but some players really need it to help them dominate. And Anthony Davis is one of them type players. He needs that dog mentality in him to help him dominate. See, LeBron, he's different. He can do everything on the court, pass, shoot, everything. He's an all-around type player. So his killer instincts is based around everything that he could do on the court to help everybody else succeed and get his own shot at any point in time he wants. That's the reason why a lot of people never looked at LeBron really as a killer mentality type. But LeBron surrounds himself with the right type of snipers who can shoot, and he always surrounds himself with a superstar who has killer mentality for the most part. I mean, Kyrie Irving has a little bit of killer in him. So when they won a championship in Cleveland, it was easy. You see what I'm saying? When you look at how Anthony Davis played a couple seasons ago in the bubble, he played with killer mentality. He played with dog in him, which is the only time we've ever seen Anthony Davis do that. But the only time and the one time he did it and played with that type of sense of urgency, they won a championship. And that's my point. Ever since that bubble, Anthony Davis has really been a shell of himself. He really hasn't been the top 5 player that a lot of people anoint him or put him as. It's just that he gets that nod because they won a championship, and because he's playing with LeBron James, and because he's playing on the best team, or one of the best teams assembled, or one of the best organizations assembled of all time in the Los Angeles Lakers. It definitely makes a difference. Even though a lot of people might not think that it does, it really does make a difference. But when you look at Anthony Davis and how he's playing this year, and even last year, there were instances where he just didn't even look like he was a top 10 player. There's times where he's getting dominated by players that he shouldn't, and there's times where he's just overly shooting jumpers and they're not winning, and they're losing because of his lack of aggressiveness and the fact that he's not taking charge in these games the way he should. Honestly, at this point, LeBron James is 37 years old, or about to be 37 years old. Carmelo's 37. Dwight Howard's not far behind. Russell Westbrook is in his mid 30s. So when you think about it, Anthony Davis is 28 going on 29. He should be at the prime of his career. He should be dominating. He should be the number 1 guy. And LeBron should feed off of the energy he gives in regards to Anthony Davis dominating in the post where he should be, not just taking all jumpers. And Anthony Davis should be dominating everywhere else on the court because he's better than 90% of the players they play on a nightly basis. So there's no way he should be getting dominated by players like Jaren Jackson Jr. on the Memphis Grizzlies, because honestly, I like Triple J, but at the same time, he's not good enough to be on the same floor with Anthony Davis if Anthony Davis is playing the way he's supposed to. If Anthony Davis plays like he did in the bubble, Jaren Jackson Jr. is not even on the same, he's not even in the same radar, on the same stratosphere as Anthony Davis. It's just not possible. But because Anthony Davis plays lackadaisical and he doesn't play with the effort he's supposed to, a couple nights ago against Memphis, he gets dominated by a player like that, who now looks like, to a lot of people in regards to who saw that game, saying, oh, Triple J is going to be a big prospect in the NBA possibly going forward. Yeah, you say that now because you've seen him dominate a so-called top 5 player, Anthony Davis, who's not playing up to par or playing up to the level of expectation that he's supposed to. And it's really sad to see, because honestly, the Lakers need that. LeBron is great, but LeBron is not great enough to carry this team through an 82-game season and in the postseason to win a championship. He's just not good enough to do that anymore. And, he needs rest. And if he's good, and if he can do it, he definitely needs the help of Anthony Davis to kind of dominate and take over games where he can kind of rest and come in and do his thing when he's called upon to come in the game. After he takes his rest, his several rests during the game, he needs to come back in the game and dominate. But LeBron doesn't have that type of energy now, and the reason why he doesn't is because of his age, and it's okay. But at the same time, it's not okay that a 28-year-old is out there making tons of money and so-called help you win a championship in the bubble, and now he's not producing. It almost makes it look like the bubble was a joke. Yeah, you give a team 4 months layoff with LeBron James, who had a 4-month layoff, who is arguably the best player in the league still at that time, with Anthony Davis. Now it looks like, oh, okay, was the championship fraud like a lot of people might already think? Or can they really actually go through an 82-game season the right way and enter the playoffs and win it? Not go through an 82-game season or a 70-some game season, have a 4-month layoff, then go to the playoffs and go out there and dominate. Well, hell, if a lot of players can have that type of opportunity, a lot of them will play a lot better as well if they could take 4 months off before going into the playoffs. The problem with a lot of teams now, or should I say the problem with that situation, I should say, is most teams in most seasons have to go to the playoffs right after the regular season. It's no 4-month layoff. So now that there's no 4-month layoff, Anthony Davis looks like trash. Anthony Davis looks like he did in New Orleans. He looks good at times. He puts up his points. He gets good numbers, but they're not equating to winning. They're empty calories, as Shannon Sharp would say, since he is a Lakers fanatic. So when you look at that in its entirety, that's definitely a problem. And that's definitely a problem the Lakers are going to have to fix. You're going to have to get the max out of Anthony Davis. Even though Russell Westbrook is turnover worthy, Russell Westbrook has shown games this year where he's played pretty decent and cut down on his turnovers. But even though he cuts down on his turnovers, it's not going to make a difference if Anthony Davis is not dominating, because you're not going to score enough, or you're not going to have Anthony Davis' presence on the other end defensively, blocking shots, being active on the defensive end, causing turnovers, stepping stepping into the paint, altering some layups and some dunks and some jump shots from guys who try to come 17 feet and in. You don't have that dominance for Anthony Davis, so it's not going to matter much what Russ does because he can only do but so much. Because even if he gets a triple-double with less turnovers, his triple-double is going to look like 17, 11, and 10 if Anthony Davis is not dominating. If Anthony Davis is dominating, his triple-double might look something like 18, 15, and 12. And that makes a difference because if he gets a triple-double that way with only 2 to 3 turnovers in a game and LeBron James is facilitating and getting his shot and Anthony Davis is dominating, they're probably one of the best teams in the league, no doubt about it. But it's not happening and it hasn't transpired yet. So we're going to have to see if the Lakers find a way around that to push Anthony Davis to be who he needs to be, or the season will continue to be a roller coaster and the Lakers will end up someplace they don't want, which would be at home either before the playoffs start, or if they enter the playoffs, they'll be home after the first round. But hey, that's my take on the situation. You leave any comments in the comment section. You let me know what you think. And hey, Khaliis out.